Inventor and industrial designer Jacques Fresco once told me that in the future, countries that focus most of their attention on finance capital are going to fall behind those that are putting their energy into the advancements of science and technology. This is now clearly the case when we compare the United States and England to a country like China. With the release of their DeepSeek model, which is reported to be a fraction of the cost of Silicon Valley's OpenAI and ChatGPT, China's collaborative and open source system is set to take over and lead the world of technology. China's rise, along with the BRICS nations, marks the decline of the West, and many assume that the Chinese Communist Party of the People's Republic of China is the long-awaited solution to capitalism and its many failures. But is that true? Can China be a model of sustainability in the world? Are they actually a communist nation? And when the time comes, can China actually transition towards a moneyless and classless society? So China has a different kind of like capitalist model. It's called a state-driven capital system, as opposed to the United States, which is basically a free market system where, it's a free market. The capitalist model in America is a neoliberal model where everything is up for sale. So it means that people can compete with one another in this open marketplace. And because of the fact that it's a free market, it's actually like a complete contradiction, because those who have the money are going to be able to pretty much like buy out their competition, right? And so monopoly is a natural gravitation of the system, where all the corporations are pretty much going to merge into one corporation, as we're seeing in America. The wealth and powers becoming consolidated in the hands of fewer and fewer people. Whereas in China, it's a state-driven capital system where the government, the Chinese Communist Party, right, the government, Xi Jinping being their leader, they pretty much dictate what happens. They regulate the corporations and kind of keep them in control a little bit. I would call it, I guess, a little more of an ethical model, and they're focused on development, right, infrastructure development, technology, and science, whereas the West is very much hyper-obsessed still with finance capital. So I see the West declining over time, and I see the East rising. Now, the Chinese model is pretty good. It's pretty good. They really have a good hold on things in terms of like cooperating. They have cooperative networks when it comes to innovation, and they make their software over open source, which is actually a very big thing. And here's where I'm gonna like disagree with people who say China is like the future. Is nothing but positivity. I think that it has a lot of problems. So China is still a capitalist system. China, like all the other capitalist systems, the other capitalist countries, it still pursues growth, right? You can't deny this. Every capitalist model throughout history needs economic growth. Why do we need growth? We need growth so that more jobs are created and more consumption ramps up. When you have an ever-increasing rate of consumption, production, and job creation, that's what keeps a constantly growing economy sustainable, right? Sustainable growth. However, constant growth on a finite planet like planet Earth doesn't work. It's unsustainable. And so China having a growth model is still a problem. China is still very competitive. China has, built-in competition in their society. Even though they have open source, a lot of the corporations and people are competing with each other still. Competition limits innovation still. Competition limits societal progression. They still have hierarchy. They still have societal social stratification. China, they have the highest number of billionaires in the world. So these are all things that are contradictions to this statement, that this idea that like China is a purely communist society, or they're trying to get to a communist society. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that when their AI really goes into hyperdrive and they start automating a lot of labor, they're not going to make the jump to a resource-based economy. They're not going to jump to society beyond capitalism. I think the billionaire class and the power structure over there are still going to maintain a growth system, a competitive model, which again, cooperation is way better than competition. And steady state economics, which is maintaining a dynamic equilibrium with our natural habitats, is much more superior to a growth-based economic system. So yeah, like I said, China's doing a lot of good things, but I'm Iranian, and I have a little inside information that the Southern Sea, the Persian Gulf of Iran, they experienced like an issue a few years ago where like the government made a contract with like these massive Chinese fishing ships. These ships came in there to trawl the bottom of the Persian Gulf, the Southern Sea. We've had a beautiful ecosystem that's been there for billions of years, and this trawling company comes in there destroying if you guys don't know what trawling is, it's absolutely destructive to ecosystems. And they were pretty much digging up the bottom of the sea. And they were going to gut that ecosystem completely dry. And it was only stopped by local fishermen. Local fishermen literally got in the way of these fishing ships and revolted until they had to turn them back. But that's right there is, what does that show? That shows that the Chinese model, even though it's a lot better than the American capitalist model, is still a capitalist model. It's still a growth-based model. Growth always looks the other way when it comes to environmental exploitation. Okay? Growth, like Edward Abbey said, infinite growth on a finite system is the ideology of the cancer cell. So again, I'm not really buying into all the hype regarding China. I'm very impressed with what they're doing. They're doing incredible things, especially with the BRICS nations. They're developing the global South. They're helping the global South wean itself off of dependency on the West. So these are all good things. However, I personally don't think they're going to switch over to a non-monetary system. I don't think they're going to get to a moneyless, classless society. I think that it's going to come down to like external forces like activism, grassroots movements within China or, whatever, other countries. It's going to come down to grassroots initiatives of out-system thinking, of out-system activism to bring about changes within the system. Competition, growth are completely incompatible with dynamic equilibrium and cooperation, right? If we want to truly get to an egalitarian system where there's horizontal power structures, like we cannot have a capitalist model. Capitalism is based on inequality. It's based on exploiting inequality, exploiting vulnerability in people. That's what it is a capitalist system. It capitalizes on vulnerability. It's not a socialist system. It's a capitalist system. China's a capitalist model. And so I don't think it's going to be, I think it comes down to, again, grassroots initiatives to bring about the world that we're really trying to get to. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please share with other people. And yeah, let's not buy into that China hype just yet. Let's see what the future unfolds. See you guys soon. Peace out. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please share it with others. We are here to transform minds one person at a time, and education is the key. Peace out and keep fighting.